Tawangeen Abdul Rahimzai was admitted into a local school as a student despite previously killing 2 people in Serbia and being refused asylum in Norway. It's raised questions about how closely we actually monitor people who come into this country and whether communities are being adequately protected. Joining me now to discuss this is immigration lawyer Ivon Sampson and the head of comment at The Express, Paul Baldwin. Paul, I'll start with you. A lot of people, I think rightly, absolutely up in arms about this. How on earth was this allowed to happen? People have a right to be angry, don't they?
They absolutely do. There is, it beggars belief, it boggles the mind. It's just beyond insane that this guy, who was a double killer, who had, I mean, let's not mince words, who'd blown the heads off 2 other human beings with an AK-47, was then somehow allowed to sit with young teenage British school kids, and no one bats an eyelid, and no one knows. It boggles the mind.
It does. And Ivon, I'll throw it your way now. Ivon Sampson is an immigration lawyer. With your maybe wider legal hat on, I've got emails in front of me here from people saying, how on earth do we sue the government for allowing stuff like this to happen if your kid was sat next to him or if your kid was a victim of his violent outburst in a classroom?
What's worrying is that it's always crisis management with this government. It's when something as horrible as this goes on that then they come up with their plans. The thing is that the assessment of age, how the government does it, they get it wrong 2/3 of the time. And for the last 12 months, they've been talking about bringing in scientific methods. Because at the moment, you have 2 social workers who follow the Merton guidelines, who then make an age assessment report. That then is looked at by the Home Office, and they either accept it or reject it. Now, it's always difficult when someone's late teens, you know, just before their adulthood, sometimes to assess somebody's age. And I don't think it's good enough just to have 2 people looking at somebody who's trying to dupe you.
Well, it's clearly not. And by the way, I would question where these people have bought their glasses from, because the 5 o'clock shadow on this lad, I mean, if he was 14 years old, I'm Cristiano Ronaldo. Paul, I'll throw it back over to you now. We appear to be rather a soft touch, Paul.
I don't know if soft touch is the right word, but we haven't got this right at all. It's not 18 months that the possibility of scientific methods have been discussed. It's 25 years. I was doing some research yesterday, and there's pieces going back to 2005, 2004, saying these dental X-rays are going to be brought in, and time again, for I'm afraid human rights reasons, in inverted commas, they are rejected, and I know Robert Jenrick has been saying, we were going to accelerate and bring these in. I believe it when I see it. It was thrown out by the House of Lords last year, or 2021, I think, and has just stayed in abeyance ever since. But to most people, I think, the idea of dental X-ray being some sort of abhorrent human rights abuse is insane. I was at the dentist just before Christmas. I had 4 dental X-rays, and I have not yet seen the need to call a human rights lawyer.
No, exactly. Exactly. Ivon, I'll lob it back your way yet again, because on that human rights angle that Paul, I think, rightly raises that, I think people are a bit sick and tired of hearing about various different people's human rights. And what about the human rights of the people who are already here? Some would say Lee Anderson, backbench Tory MP, raised an issue that no doubt will have human rights lawyers up in arms, rising across the land about essentially indefinitely detaining people until we find out who they are and where they're from. With your legal hat on again, Ivon, any chance of that happening?
I think it should happen. Look, there's no human rights objection to assessing somebody's age who we don't know how old they are. And it's moved on from dental checks. It's actually a combination of blood, skin and DNA swabs. And it's quite accurate when they're quite young. When they get older, it gets less accurate. But no, look, I've got families. Do I want someone like this man roaming the streets when my kids are roaming the street? I don't. And I think it's absolutely right that until we know who these people are, we should detain them. That's an absolutely fair policy for the security of British people. So I'm for it. I'm a human rights lawyer, but I will not defend people like this individual.